Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Out of the Fog. I'm your host, Laura Beltonba. On today's episode, we get to have a little bit of fun while tackling some serious topics. I get the chance to sit and chat with some of the folks from the Spectrum Queer Choir, as well as some of the organizations behind the Child Poverty Report Card. So sit back, relax, and we'll get right up to the episode.
Your opinion matters, and we want to hear from you. Get in touch with us using our viewer feedback line, your direct connection to shaping the shows you love. It's easy. Just grab your phone, scan the QR code on your screen, and take our quick survey. Share your thoughts, and let's make your viewing experience even better.
This is Rogers TV.
Welcome back, everyone. I am now joined with some fantastic folks who are part of the Spectrum Queer Choir, and I'm so excited to introduce them to you. We have Alice, we have Lee, and we have Jill. Folks, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
So, Alice, I'm going to start with you to explain to our audience a little bit about what Spectrum is. So, what is Spectrum? How did it come to be? And not just the fact that it's a cool rainbow.
Yeah, so Spectrum, we're St. John's 2S LGBTQI community choir. We've been around since 2011, and we are a non-auditioned community choir that's open for anybody to join, and we are a place that celebrates the voices of the 2S LGBTQI community through music, through connection, and yeah, we're a fun group.
Okay, so why did you start? I guess it's also a really important question.
Out of passion. At the time, I was at MUN doing my master's in choral conducting, and I had just moved from Ontario, and I was looking for, my way to contribute to the community. I fell in love with Newfoundland and was feeling like, I think this is the place for me. And so through my studies, I was looking for the thing that I could do, the thing that I could contribute. And I realized there wasn't, a choir for the queer community, and realized I was kind of probably the person to do it. So yeah, that's where it came out of.
All right, so Lee and Jill, what led you both to Spectrum? So I guess we'll start with you, Lee.
Yeah, I joined Spectrum in the fall of 2022 after going to Camp Eclipse, which is a leadership camp for 2S LGBTQI plus youth. And Alice was actually there as a mentor and was doing like a shortened version of choir there, where she directed, the mentors, the leaders, as well as the youth over 3 days to do a few really great songs. And I sang in choirs my whole life. So when I was part of it, and I was like, oh, I really love this, I miss this. And then Alice told me that Spectrum existed, and I was like, I am absolutely showing up there when all of this is said and done. I need to be part of a choir again, and I need to be part of a queer choir. So that's what got me involved.
And Joel, how'd you catch the bug?
Definitely through Lee. We've been really good friends for a long time, and they talked a lot about it. And through the jigs and the reels, I said, okay, I have nothing to do Wednesday nights, and it's one of the best decisions I ever made.
Okay, so you all are here because there's something super cool that you are trying to make your way to, and so Unison, I think, is the thing, if I'm getting that correct. So Alice, do you mind explaining what Unison is?
Yeah, so Unison is a festival for Canadian 2S LGBTQI community choirs. There's a national association, and every 4 years, choirs from across Canada gather to celebrate, to sing, and we started going back in 2023. It was in Halifax, and that experience was absolutely transformative for us as a choir. And so now Unison is in May, and it's in Vancouver.
Okay.
So it's a bit of a trip this time, but we're absolutely passionate to go.
Okay, and so Lee, you've attended Unison before. What was the experience like?
It was magical. As Alice said, it really transformed us as a choir. It was my first year in Spectrum, and I feel like it gave us the opportunity to show kind of who we are as a choir. I mean, we were in Halifax and everybody loved the choir from Newfoundland. I feel like we were kind of the underdogs, but also the life of the party, which is, you know, I feel like a story that a lot of Newfoundlanders can relate to.
Yep.
And I think that we bonded a lot as a choir, and also we learned so much from the other choirs that were there. And it was really magical to be in a space with, I think, like 600 other choristers that was just really dedicated to queer song and queer music. And it was so multi-generational, and everybody was just having such a wonderful time. So I know when we heard that we were invited to go to Unison in May of 2026, everybody that had been previously was so excited because it was really one of the best experiences that, you know, many of us have had through Spectrum.
So to get to BC, that's quite the trip, which means fundraising is essential for you as a community organization in order to get there. So I know you're putting together a queer karaoke extravaganza. Queerioke extravaganza, some would call it. So do you mind letting me know a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So we came up with this idea to run a karaoke competition. So on November 22nd at the Station Lounge, we're going to have 8 competitors from our choir compete in a bracket-style karaoke competition. So it's going to be 3 rounds, and the audience will get to vote on each round. And it's going to be a night filled with queer joy and a lot of fun. There's going to be drag performances, and then at the end of the night, there's also going to be an open stage for karaoke. So for those of you who love karaoke, please come along.
You're saying I can go sing on stage? Chill. How kind of you. Okay, so to go through the details again, it is happening when?
November 22nd at 8 o'clock at
Okay.
the Station Lounge, which is 7 Hutchings Road. It's like under the underpass downtown.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And so for people coming, do they need to buy tickets ahead of time? Do we just show up? What's the game plan? How do we get there? How do we get involved?
Yeah, we have an Eventbrite with all of the information, so it would be really wonderful for people to get their tickets in advance. The Station Lounge does have a capacity of about 100 people, so make sure you get your tickets early. All of the details are on the Spectrum social media, so our Instagram, you can find us at Spectrum Queer Choir, as well as our Facebook. There's a Facebook page where all the details are there, and it's a sliding scale, so we have some tickets from $15 all the way up to $25, and then folks are also welcome and encouraged to make a donation to help us reach our fundraising goal if they have more to give, which would be amazing because we have a long way to go to get to Vancouver.
No worries. And so for those who can't make it, how do they make that donation? Is it through the Eventbrite, or is there somewhere on your website we can find it?
We do have a donate button on our website, so if anybody would like to contribute to our travel fund, invite them to check out our website, and I can buy the tickets through the Eventbrite. Yes.
Okay. So I got you for about 2 more minutes before I let you go. Practice your voices and all the other amazing things that you all do. So for our folks who are watching and listening, if they are like, okay, maybe I can't donate, but I do want to support Spectrum in other ways, or I want to get involved, where do they find the information and how do they reach out to you?
So they can find us through our socials, our website, www.spectrumqueerchoir.com. As Lee and Jill said, we're on Instagram, which is at Spectrum Queer Choir, and also on Facebook, similarly at Spectrum Queer Choir. Folks can find out about us. We welcome singers every fall, every September. We have open recruitment, so if anybody is interested in joining us, we have no auditions. No experience is required. Anybody can join regardless of identity or experience.
Yeah, and if folks are wanting to help support in the Queerioke extravaganza coming up, any sharing on social media would be really beneficial, just getting the word out there. If you can't attend, then tell all of your friends to come instead, and just really, helping us hype up that event. And I'm sure we're going to have many other fundraiser events in the future, so definitely staying tuned to our social media. We just held a really successful auction that took place online, so there's lots of different opportunities like that to help out and to help spread the word. So any help in that direction would be great as well.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you all for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I know I will be warming up my vocal cords for this open stage portion of the evening and check out the karaoke extravaganza. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks
for having us so much.
And we'll be right back, everyone.
Your opinion matters, and we want to hear from you. Get in touch with us using our viewer feedback line, your direct connection to shaping the shows you love. It's easy. Just grab your phone, scan the QR code on your screen, and take our quick survey. Share your thoughts, and let's make your viewing experience even better.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm now joined with three fantastic individuals, and we're going to be talking about the Child Poverty Report Card. I'm joined by Kim Reddy, who is the Executive Director of the Jimmy Pratt Foundation. I'm also joined by Renee Williams, who's the Executive Director of Daybreak Child and Family Center. And I'm finally joined by Nivethani Mahendri, who is the Program Officer at Choices for Youth. Thank you for joining me, folks.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, so for a lot of people, this might be the first time they've ever heard of the Child Poverty Report Card. So Kim, I'm going to start with you a little bit. What is this, and why was this something that all three of your organizations have worked on?
Well, I'll start, I guess, by pointing to the fact that this year marks the 35th anniversary of the All-Party House of Commons resolution to end child poverty in Canada by the year 2000. And sadly, child poverty is on the rise in every province and territory across the country.
Wow.
This is the third iteration of the Newfoundland and Labrador Child and Family Poverty Report Card. Our organizations have been doing this work for 3 years, and we're seeing child poverty in the last report card. We were at 18.1%, and this year we're reporting 20.7%, 21.4%. We're also above the national average, which is unfortunate. So it's a big issue in this province, and something that we, as organizations who work in an area where we want to improve the lives of children in this province, child poverty is front and center for our work.
So Renee, in the work you do, what is it like hearing those results as where we have gone up in terms of the reoccurrence of child poverty in this province?
Yeah, I mean, it's alarming. It's concerning. We were happy to take part and try and bring a voice to some of the numbers. So families were able to take part and be interviewed, and you can see in some of the quotes that were included in the report. But hearing it translates to the work we're seeing. So I don't think it was a surprise to frontline staff. If anything, I think some of us wonder if it may even be higher, because there's a lot of families are struggling and sometimes fearful, to be honest, about the situation they find themselves in. That said, I think it was a coming together of a lot of our organizations in a way that allowed us to be really honest and like I said, give voice to the families and try and come together with some productive solutions as to how we can do better. Our saying lately has been, we know better, we do better. So we all have this information now. What are we going to do about it? How can we help families do their best? We know children do best when their basic needs are met, when their caregivers' basic needs are met, and we know that's not happening for a large population. So it's it's concerning, but also not overly surprising for those that are doing this work.
So Nivethani, what does it look like in terms of your day-to-day, knowing that you've worked on this project, you've helped support it? How does it impact the youth who are showing up within Choices for Youth?
Yeah, this report has been so important because I think for us, we have the ability to see kind of both sides. We have young people who fall within that range of under 18, but some of them also have children themselves, so it's doubly affecting how they're able to live their lives. And the reality that we see is that the supports that are offered are helpful, yes, but the poverty issue is catching up and going far and beyond in so many areas. So the youth that we support, they're seeing the spectrum of the barriers that we talk about in our report card. So whether it's difficulty accessing adequate food, difficulty accessing education and employment because transportation to get to work is so difficult. All of that we're seeing on a day-to-day basis, and we just want to put a voice to that and kind of find some solutions.
So for either of you, whoever wants to answer, what were the metrics this poverty report card kind of goes into?
We looked at the areas affecting families the most. Income is probably one of the most important health determinants. And so, and we know that income transfers, therefore income transfers are particularly important. We know that when we saw during COVID and the income transfers through CERB and the child benefit, we saw a decrease in 22% of child poverty across the province. We found ourselves looking at housing, food insecurity, childcare, and these sorts of things. So the percentages in all areas increased in in food security, insecurity. 26% of families are living with food insecurity in this province right now. 25% are living with housing insecurity. We have a significant number of childcare deserts across the province, meaning that there's just not enough childcare spaces.
So you've pulled together this report that kind of analyzes what the issues are. What are some of the solutions that you, as people working on the front lines, seeing the issues day to day and seeing how people are reacting to them, what do solutions look like within this?
Yeah. I mean, I think we need to listen to families. I think we need to go beyond, the policies that exist. We've seen some really good improvements, particularly with our provincial government. So now we need to put some of those policies into action. We need to listen to what families are looking for. It's not a one-size-fits-all. So when we connect with families, and if you lean on some of the community sector organizations, they know what families are asking because they build those relationships. So staff are hearing from families. That oftentimes children are going to school hungry, they're going to childcare centers hungry, and therefore children are not able to, if their basic needs aren't being met, then they're not able to grow and develop. We're seeing a lot of, mental health is increasing, and oftentimes it all connects. So if we're not better supporting our families, then we know the outcomes later in life are going to be impacted. So families are coming to us sometimes and they'll say, I've received a food hamper, it's pantry-like items, for example. I don't have the means to prepare that right now. I'm in between homes. I don't have a proper stove set up. We hear, a lot of newcomer families are still trying to get their, kitchen-like set up. So we had to pivot and create programs to adapt to their needs. So one example was a takeaway meals program, whereby we could take one worry away for that day. So if that family has a home-cooked meal, we know that's going to improve that child and that family's day. Children are coming to our center and worrying about what that evening is going to look like. So we see food hoarding, for example. We're seeing children taking food home to try and help their family. So the solutions have to be grassroots. We need to meet families where they are and listen to what they're telling us. And I think if, CSCNL, they've been such a great catalyst of bringing all organizations together. So lean on the community sector. I would challenge the provincial government to, lean on us to be a voice for families, and then help the programs do better. So if it's, an income-based program, then we can still do the food literacy piece and work with families to help them do their best and remove some of the barriers that exist. Thank you.
And so for youth who are sometimes, as you talked about, are not just on the end of where they are the ones impacted, but they are also kind of caring for the next generation of youth, what are you putting together to help them support through this transition, and what things are they saying they would love to see?
Absolutely. I think, like in the report card, the biggest advocacy point for us is really putting some more money within the hands of those young families that are trying to kind of grow in different areas, and they have the agency to put those resources to wherever they want it to go. And the other recommendation coming from a community's perspective is really supporting the community organizations that are supporting those people. Of course, they can't do it alone. We saw in Marystown, when we were speaking with folks there, they saw a 67% increase in the number of families that they're seeing using food resource or their food bank resources. So they're working beyond their capacity, and they really need that support to continue providing the resources that they can, and that goes in every area, whether it's food services or employment and education services, school food programs. So really supporting the work that they do is important for us, and one of the recommendations of the report card.
So we now have a new provincial government, which means this is the best chance for us to have the change we've been asking for. So what are the things that you are hoping that the government is paying attention to, or what pleas are you putting out there for them to come to the table with?
I think there's two issues here. One is that this province has made some steps in the last few years to improve things, and we don't want that to end. And often with the change in government, you have that concern. We found out this year that across the country, when the reports were done, using tax filer data and Statistics Canada information, that Newfoundland had the highest increase in the rate of poverty for children under 6 for the whole country. And of course, we're currently involved in the bilateral agreement with the federal government, the Newfoundland and Labrador Canada-wide and Early Learning Childcare initiative. That has to continue, because what that's doing is it's allowing $10 a day childcare. If families who have children under the age of 6 are seeing the highest rate of poverty, then obviously there's issues related to childcare and access to affordable and inclusive education in the early years. So that has to continue. Income transfers are important. We saw that in COVID, as I mentioned. So that needs to continue as well, and they need to be increased. There's a significant amount of regional disparity across this province. While we might see improvements in some areas, and we see the province with the poverty reduction program, that 3-year program, $41 million was committed to that program over 3 years, where we've seen a number of increases, a 300% increase over 3 years for the child benefit. That has to continue. But those regional disparities have to be paid attention to as well. Racialized families, Indigenous families are seeing higher rates of food insecurity. Housing insecurity is on the rise. So the province needs to pay attention, and income, I think, being one of the most important health determinants, it has to be income related. So I think that any government needs to be willing to work with the community-based agencies. This year we talked to over 100 community groups and organizations who work in the area of child poverty. That's why the report is so long this year and comprehensive. We wanted to look across the province, and we saw the disparities. So we have to focus on that as well. And you have to listen to people in those communities. In the St. George's area on the West Coast, it was 34.7%, I think, Nivi, was the rate of poverty in in that area. Wow. So they need a different approach. They need more, of income transfers, and more. If there's an expansion, as there has been in the breakfast and lunch programs in schools, perhaps that needs to look different on that end of the. Labrador showed the lowest percentage, but there's parts of Labrador on the north coast that are very high, much higher than the national average.
So I got you for about 2 more minutes. So there are 2 questions I kind of have. You've pointed out a lot of the things where the issues are. Were there anything that surprised you optimistically? That you're like, okay, we see that there are trends that could cause different changes, and if so, what were they? And it's okay if they weren't. It's just it's a time to be honest with people about what the rate of child poverty and what the situation actually looks like for people in this province.
I think Newfoundland has started out some really good policies and programs. When we talk to colleagues in other parts of Canada, they're impressed with some of our beginnings, I'll say. So I think, like you had mentioned, continuing some of the work that we've started. I'm going to choose to be in a hopeful place with our new government, in that they'll continue and we won't see cuts to some of these social programs that families clearly need. I think the report showed that. We have this information, so now we need to continue doing the work. I think we need to invest in our children. So looking at high quality childcare, making sure that food is not a choice. Food should be a right, and our basic needs need to be met. So meeting families where they are, and just leaning on some of the community sector to do this work. I think we're all worried what this change is going to mean. So let's continue to do the work that we're doing, and supporting the staff that are on the ground level. We're seeing a lot of burnout. So let's look at looking after the staff that are doing this work as well. and making sure they can keep their families afloat while helping our families that are struggling.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I would just say like 100% that what we're surprised by is just really the resilience of the communities, and how much they've come together to support the people who really need the most in those communities. And we see a lot of people volunteering, coming out of their way to support people in the community.
So before I let you go, where can people find this report?
All of our agencies would have a link to the card. Certainly, people can visit the jimmyprattfoundation.ca website, and you'll find the report there. We've also been doing our best to get some of those really big statistics out there, you know, through our social media platforms as well, on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So I would send people to those places as well.
Awesome. I want to thank you all for joining me. I know this is an important conversation that we could take on for many days, so thank you for taking the time to chat with me today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so
It
much.
is important. Thank you.
And we'll be right back, everyone. I want to thank all my guests for joining me today, and thank you all for tuning in yet again. If you want to support the Spectrum Queer Choir, make sure to check out their website and social media for their karaoke extravaganza. And if you're interested in some of the report findings from the Child Poverty Report, make sure to check out the jimmyprattfoundation.ca website, and you can find out all the information there. And I'll see you all again next time.